Welcome back to Ireland AM now. The Ireland-US relationship, it is deep, it's historic, but could it be crumbling, whether it's under the Trump administration or not?
It's very interesting. Richard Chambers from Virgin Media News is with us, and he is questioning it. Great to have you with us, Richard. Your new documentary is out. It is called Make Ireland Great Again. There you have it.
Where's our hat?
Let's take a quick... we need a hat. Let's take a look.
Ireland is no longer a poor country. It is no longer the poor country their ancestors fled.
We've established very good business ties and relationships over the decades with Ireland.
America has to be supported in business, otherwise Ireland will suffer.
The people still wonder why Ireland hasn't joined NATO.
Trouble will come your way if you're not protected. Somebody's got to do the work. Learn what relationships benefit you.
Push back on the EU. Hold on to your identity.
If you're going to have to make a choice here, do what's best for your people.
All that great business can go away like that.
The snap. Like that.
You need to start wearing an Irish tie, tricolour tie. Come on, hello,
It was very
Richard.
nice
Good
of everybody
morning.
to do that for us when we're shooting the doc.
They love to wear, they love
Shamrock
decking
socks.
themselves in flags. Why did you make this documentary?
Because I think we talk a lot about the Irish-US relationship in politics. We have this sort of melodrama around the St. Patrick's Day ceremony every year about, what's going to happen when Donald Trump meets the Taoiseach? But we don't really hear the American side of it on any sort of deep level. We don't get to ask Donald Trump at length what he thinks about Ireland and what he thinks about us having all of his pharmaceutical and tech companies over here. All of his demands are in the Middle East. So the opportunity to speak to people who have a deep understanding of Ireland because of their Irish connection, because they are hyper linked in and focused in on what happens over here, and to interrogate them about what pressures are they putting on the Irish government, what do they want to see Ireland do to make themselves more in favour with the US administration or to keep US tech companies and pharmaceutical giants on side. I think it's really something we haven't done a huge amount of over here in the media. So that's why I wanted to do it.
So it's from an American point of view what they want to do to make Ireland great again.
Exactly, yeah.
From an Irish point of view, this is quite a tricky one, isn't it? Because obviously the amount of money that is coming into Ireland with American influence, the government are in a tough position with this.
Yeah, and the amount of Irish companies in the US as well is something which, we probably don't speak enough about. We have Irish companies in every single state in the US employing people in terms of investment into the US is massive as well.
Okay.
But when you're on the hook, as, some American politicians said, when we owe our economy to the United States government, that does come with it a lot of pressure. And there has been pressure exerted on Irish politicians over things like regulating US social media giants like Facebook, Twitter, all of that sort of stuff. There has been pressure about you need to buy our liquefied natural gas. Forget about those windmills and those solar panels. If you want our data centres, you're going to need to fuel them. And the way to fuel them is by buying our energy. So it's not an easy position for the government to be in, particularly when you see how volatile people like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance can be when, they don't like what they're hearing back from the other side of any sort of conversation.
And they are all questions we have to reckon with, because certainly we said never again will we put all our eggs into one basket like we did with the construction sector, and look at us putting all of our eggs into one basket with the American multinationals and what that means for our country, our environment, because an awful lot of people look at the story about rents today. Are we better off than we were 20 years ago? But we would traditionally think, the Kennedys, the Democrat, the Irish Republican. Now it would, the Irish Americans, they're not just they're Republicans now because they've become so wealthy, but also it's kind of a MAGA Republicanism.
Yeah, and I think that
was
was something I really wanted to look into as well. We've historically, the Irish Americans in Capitol Hill, Kennedy Democrats, people like Joe Biden, people like Tip O'Neill, all of these people who had our back when it came down to things like Brexit. There's a new generation there now which I wanted to explore, people who have Irish heritage and they're deeply proud of it. Some of them played Gaelic football, some of them dress up as St. Patrick every single year. They are deeply aware of what's happening politically in Ireland and they love Ireland, but they have such a different political persuasion to the ones that have gone before. And that's something that even Irish journalists based over there like Niall Standage say the government was complacent about, that we hadn't handled that generational change, that Irish America has become a lot more conservative, even to the extent that there is even a quote-unquote an Irish America. We always talk about it over here as well. It's like, there's an Irish American vote. Well, there's not really. There's so many different people, depending on where they're from, what their educational background are. You can't put them all into one basket. So that was something to examine as well.
Can I just ask you in relation to Irish Americans now, because obviously, we're a country who's really, hello tourists, we want you to come in, and we'd be like, oh, the Americans here, and they'll be my great, and they have a view of us as we're kind of like, no, we're modern Europeans now. How well do they know what's going on over here, the ones that are politically engaged?
Yeah, that was very, very interesting. So there's two key congressmen in particular who we spoke to in this, Rich McCormack and Riley Moore. You'll know by their names then, their Irish heritage. But again, they're very, very close with the Trump White House. They've been over here repeatedly over the years. Riley Moore, for example, he actually quite surprised me when he was talking about, look, he understands, Ireland's affinity to Palestine, but he was like, I know for the last 2 years, Sinn Féin hasn't been over here, and we consider that a betrayal because we gave them so much support through the 90s, through the 80s as well, in terms of getting the visa even, that was a bipartisan move on Capitol Hill. So there's an awareness of what happens politically here. There's an awareness of how we're in trouble in terms of energy. There's an awareness that, we are Europe's tech policemen. They know all of the levers that are at the disposal of the government, and they have, quote unquote, I suppose, advice to give to Micheál Martin and to the Irish government about what levers should be pulled, how they should handle matters, and whether or not they should be closer to the US government or to the EU.
I mean, we do have such a privilege, like with the shamrocks, passing the shamrock, wearing the green ties. There is this affinity with Ireland and America. And I always feel that they had pity on us almost. They were looking out for us, particularly with Sinn Féin and all the fundraising that they did for us. Is that changing?
No, I think the affinity is always going to be there to a certain extent. I mean, there is a demographic.
But how far could it go? Because obviously Ireland have shown huge support to the likes of Palestine.
Yeah.
And we know obviously Israel is so strong over there as well. And other areas as well around tech. Are Ireland on the verge? Could it be gone like that?
I mean, it could be. I mean, we can't. I don't think it's going to be an overnight snap. But all you have to do is look at how Donald Trump views the European Union. He has an obsession with the European Union. He wants the European Union to be pushed down in every single way. And if that conversation happens in the White House, we're part of that. We can't escape the fact that we're in the European Union. The European Union is where we're at. We are no different to the EU. But when it comes to things like defence and security, you've seen what Donald Trump has said about people like Keir Starmer, the German Chancellor, about not providing enough support for what the US is doing in the Middle East with regards to Iran. We aren't even part of NATO, and we benefit from US security, is what his allies would say. So we're complete freeloaders. I don't think we can take for granted that we're always going to have such a cordial political relationship, even if people have so much, affinity with Irish heritage, that they love Ireland, that they come over here and visit to go meet the land of their forefathers. We can't take for granted that it's always going to be a two-way or a positive relationship, that there would always be, an understanding or appreciation, that we have a different opinion on certain matters than them.
You mentioned there that we are, because these multinationals and tech companies are based here, the tech police people, that's what we're meant to be. So there is a vested interest from Americans, such as Steve Bannon, who have called for, an Irish Trump and an Irish MAGA movement, in there being what they say is, that we don't get involved in free speech, whereas the European Union are calling it mis and disinformation.
Yeah.
This is the crux of it, essentially, because it's all meant to be policed from here.
Yeah.
And that puts us in quite a dangerous position.
Yeah, and the government has been warned by senior figures who are very close to the Trump administration that future investments by tech companies may stop if Ireland over-regulates these companies. And they
would call it over-regulation, whereas someone else might actually call it regulation.
And it is interesting, and the government here has been seen as soft on regulation at a European level, that we've been seen as being too close to the US tech companies that we're so dependent on. Yeah. Whereas now it does seem like the government is taking seriously its responsibilities. Commissioner Naman and the Data Protection Commission really have stepped up in terms of levelling fines at places like Meta. And that's only going to draw us more and more into the crosshairs of people like the Trump White House, because they are obsessed about this.
I mean, you got some great guests, some great people to talk to. Obviously, the American diplomat, John Bolton, very interesting views as well. Do you think, though, will Ireland have to make a decision? Are we Europe or are we America?
Well, I don't think it's even a decision we have to make, because the decision is where we are. We're in the European Union. We can't be in two camps about it.
Well, we are in two camps, because we're taking in the money from America, but we are EU. But eventually, if we're going to be taking electricity from the likes of France and the EU, or else is it LNG for America? One of them could play hardball here and make us decide.
Yeah, and I think, the question will hang over us. And I think even there is, in some quarters, there's an idea of, look, listen, we'll wait 2 years, Trump will be out of the White House, we might be all back to normal. Whereas if you talk to people in Washington, they think that the paradigm is completely shifted. Okay. That whatever, new administration comes in, it could be, Marco Rubio, it could be JD Vance, it could be a Democrat. The way the European Union and the way Ireland interacts with the US has changed forever. Because any agreement that you sign with the White House now, what's it worth? What's it worth if it can be ripped up in a tweet the next morning?
I suppose we're seeing stories this week about, water being taken from the Shannon so as that people in Dublin will have drinking water. That is going to become a huge focus when it comes to data centres over the next while of where we will have water in this country. But something else that maybe we don't all realise is the lobbying that is done from America to the Irish government because of, we'll say, something like the Occupied Territories Bill. This is a reality. It's a thing that's done. Yeah,
and there's been very senior people on Capitol Hill, who are members of the Republican Party who have threatened that there should be sanctions on Ireland. Or there should be financial penalties if we pursue the Occupied Territories Bill. Now, it's worth pointing out that Spain and Slovenia have very similar pieces of legislation which have already been enacted. Yeah. Now, Ireland it was part of the programme for government for both coalition parties. It still hasn't actually happened, despite the fact that, both parties said we're waiting for legal advice on this for a long, long time now. But people like Lindsey Graham, people who are very, very senior figures, have repeatedly pointed to things like or the FAI saying that, Israel shouldn't be allowed to compete in UEFA competitions, Eurovision, things like that. Anytime there's any sort of friction between Ireland and Israel, you will see people, Americans on Capitol Hill, saying, look, if you keep going down this road of boycott, this road of isolating Israel, we are going to hold you accountable for it.
You must have loved it.
It was great. It was great to work on. We had a great team working on it, and it was the reception has been really good. So
it's been super reviews on this. Absolutely fantastic. I haven't got to see it yet, but I'm really looking forward to watching it tonight. It is Make Ireland Great Again. Virgin Media 1 at 9 o'clock, or you can check it out on Virgin Media Play.
Richard Chambers, thank you so much for joining us today.
Go on, Richard.
Not an American tie on him today.
I know.